Tens of thousands of people in the Philippines are evacuating to safer ground as a powerful typhoon churns closer towards the country. Typhoon Hagupit is expected to make landfall tomorrow. It has weakened slightly, but still packing dangerous winds. Hagupit is expected to hit Samar province, where thousands were killed by Typhoon Haiyan a year ago.
As Typhoon Hagupit approaches, residents have been preparing for the worst. Houses and shops are being boarded up and thousands are moving out to designated evacuation centers. However, for Tacloban resident Richard Tolibas, it hasn't been as easy. Richard currently lives in a temporary shelter with his wife and 5 children after his house was washed away by Typhoon Haiyan just over a year ago. The materials of his bunkhouse are flimsy and not strong enough to withstand typhoon winds. While he wants to move somewhere safer, the evacuation centers set up across the city are reaching full capacity. Richard has no other option but to break into a mausoleum in the nearby Chinese cemetery and take shelter there with 8 other members of his family.
Mas maganda naman dito kasi hindi magigiba. Simento. Pag sa doon naman sa diyan sa namin, sa may ibang consis, dahil mga plywood lang, maninipis lang, baka masira. Mas maganda ito, truck, simento ba?
He is not the only one. Other families have also moved their belongings to take refuge among the tombstones. The storm surge that followed Typhoon Haiyan last year decimated coastal communities. Shelter remains a big issue until now, and there are thousands of people who are still living in vulnerable conditions as Typhoon Hagupit approaches.
We are more informed, and then we're taught of how are we going to prepare ourselves this time. Our people from the different barangays or sectors were sent to a seminar or training on what to do and how to do it.
I prepared for almost 2 weeks along with my family. Actually, my place in Hulita was so far from the seashore, but then we are expecting, of course, for the possibility of the wind.
And for people like Richard, they will go to any means necessary to ensure that their family remains safe, even if it means sleeping among the dead. ILO, Channel News Asia, Tacloban.
A group of private sector companies from Singapore is already in the Philippines ready to provide assistance. They're part of the Corporate Citizen Foundation, which was formed over a month ago, if you recall, to help countries in the event of a disaster. Well, this is their first mission. The team includes civil engineering personnel and Channel News Asia journalists. Our reporter, Dylan Lowe, is there.
It's well before daybreak on a Friday morning, but Ng Sin Ain is already up, preparing his team for an arduous task ahead. The former Army Lieutenant Colonel heads the Swift Emergency Evaluation Deployment, or SEED initiative. SEED is a private sector-led effort aimed at providing the first response in the event of a regional disaster. Launched in October, SEED's first mission is to assess potential damage in the Philippines as a result of Typhoon Hagupit.
We brought along the inflatable boat with outboard motor, so that it helped us to bridge the possible water obstacles. Our key missions is to go into the affected area to do the evaluations so that we can bring up the first-hand accurate information.
I'm on a Gulfstream G150 jet, our mode of transport for the expedition. The plane is provided by Pacific Flight Services, which is a partner of the mission. Now, because this plane is small and nimble, it allows for greater flexibility in deciding where exactly to go, depending on the need. The first location is Manila, where equipment is quickly unloaded for the start of an uncertain journey ahead. The team's plan is to set up a temporary base and make contact with local agencies. A key priority is to work out a plan with the Association of Southeast Asian Nations Coordinating Center for Humanitarian Assistance. The aim is not necessarily to give first aid to potential disaster victims, but to gather focused intelligence about the kind of help the Philippines will need in the aftermath of the typhoon. Locals here have been trying to move forward after the devastation of Typhoon Haiyan about a year ago, and many refuse to be caught unprepared again.
First, the intent to do is to gather some water, drinking water, and buy some grocery for emergency, and especially the flashlight, because if you run out of power, you cannot see, especially if it is not night.
Here in Manila, we're not totally affected here, but as may monitored in radio news, our family there in province are prepared food.
This is really the calm before the storm. People going about their daily affairs, seemingly unaware that the country may be on the brink of yet another natural disaster. Indeed, you can almost feel a sense of cautious optimism here. An optimism that says, let's hope the light breeze in the air now doesn't turn into a deadly gust. Dylan Low, Channel News Asia in Manila, the Philippines.